So at the beginning of the series, we discussed the fact that weight management does not mean to lose weight. Somebody may want to gain weight, another person may want to maintain a weight, while some people want to lose weight. So weight management depends on your body. If you measure your weight divided by your height in meters square, whatever value it gives you, if it's below 25, you don't need to lose weight. If it's between 25 and 30, that's overweight and you need to be careful. So you may need to lose weight a little. If it's just 24, what you need to do is to maintain your weight. But if it's above 25 or it's above 30, that's a serious situation. Then you need to lose weight actively. And the method you use matters a lot. Some people are trying to lose weight, they skip meals. That's wrong. Don't skip meals. Some people will not even eat. They are eating, but what they are eating is not enough at all. That's also a wrong method. Whereas some other people will take pills, take different kinds of drugs. That's also a wrong method. So you need to be sure that you are using the right kind of method to manage your weight. And that's what these webinars are addressing. Want to ensure that all the issues that have to do with your body mass index, that has to do with your body image, what you think about your body, that all those issues are addressed during our webinars. Some people believe that they should be slimmer than what they are. Why? Because they look at some celebrities on Facebook, on social media, on TV, and they feel that these celebrities are slim. That's the way everyone should be. But that kind of thinking may just make somebody to be frustrated, because if you are wishing to look like somebody who is actually underweight and you don't know that the person is underweight, you are aiming at such a stature, it will not be good for you. It's going to set you up for frustration, because that kind of weight you will never be able to achieve if it's not your own frame, if it doesn't fit your frame. So these sessions that we're having will address different things, different topics. We're taking different topics every week. Today, we're concentrating on healthy food preparation. And when I say food preparation, notice that I did not say cooking, because some people believe that every food must be cooked. No, you don't have to cook everything. The kitchen is similar to a chemical laboratory, and there are different ways of processing food in that kitchen. Different physical agents can act on food. Right in your kitchen, you can soak food, chop, grind, eat. Some people microwave, some people store in freezers. All these things have effects on food, and you should be aware of the effects. I said food preparation does not mean cooking. There are many foods that you can eat raw. You don't have to cook. So since you know you don't have to cook them, you can just look for a way to eat them raw, like fruits. I've seen somebody boil apple before. It was very, very strange to me. I don't know if you've seen such a thing. Boiling apple, you would have destroyed a lot of vitamins in that apple. Fruits are meant to be eaten raw, just the way they are. Many vegetables can also be taken raw. And if it's difficult for you to chew, just grind or blend and then drink it. Or better still, if you can't drink with the fiber, you can make a juice out of the vegetable and just drink the juice. So that brings us to carrot, cabbage juice, beetroot juice. And if you are trying to manage your weight, that would help you to control your weight, whichever is your goal. If you want to lose weight, then you need to drink more vegetable juice and many times take smoothie, so that you're taking the vegetable with the fiber, not just the juice. And the fiber will be very useful in helping you to control your weight. Form the habit of eating something raw every day. Don't eat cooked food all the time. Some foods may be harmful if eaten raw. So that means that it doesn't make eating raw food like the only alternative or the best alternative for every food. There are some foods that you should not eat raw, like eggplant or potato, sweet, Irish potato. You shouldn't eat raw. You cannot even eat cassava raw. It contains toxin. It's either outrightly poisonous. So anything that shouldn't be eaten raw, you should avoid eating raw. Cooking food has its own benefits. Even though I'm encouraging you to eat raw foods, just make sure you limit it to things that can be eaten raw. You can eat peanuts raw. You can eat carrots, cabbage, cucumber. Find out the things that can be eaten raw and eat them raw. The goal of cooking or the goal of healthy food preparation is to get the maximum nutrients out of the food. So if you want to prepare food, don't just prepare it the way you think or the way you're used to. Ask yourself the best way to prepare that food to be able to get the maximum nutrients out of it. For example, if you want to prepare vegetable and you leave the veggie, you first boil the vegetable, throw the water away, and then finally cook the vegetable again, you would have lost a lot of vitamins because of the extra heat you're applying to the vegetable. You're applying it 2 times, so you would have lost a lot of vitamins. And because you've thrown some cooking water away, some minerals would have leached into the water and you would have lost the minerals. So you are losing vitamins, you're losing minerals by that method of cooking. The best way to cook vegetables, if is the one that you must cook, is just to blanch it. You just pour the vegetable, you wash the vegetable thoroughly, pour it in your sauce and turn it, let it steam for about 5 minutes. So that's steaming, just 5 minutes steaming. That will be fine for vegetables. The first thing you want to take care of in healthy food preparation is to ensure that the food you want to prepare itself is healthy. Because if all you have brought to your kitchen is corned beef, baked beans, and other tinned foods, which are not healthy, there's no way you want to prepare it that will now turn it to be healthy. So you need to be careful to choose healthy food supply. Cereals, fruits, vegetables, garden greens, nuts, and seeds, all the things that you're preparing should be healthy. And it's good to know that foods of plant origin form the basis of healthy eating. So when you want to plan your meal, think of plant-based foods more than all the canned corned beef, canned fish. Some people just have the habit of buying those things that they feel good, especially if they couldn't afford them before and they now discover that they can afford them. So you need to be careful to choose natural foods, plant-based foods. When choosing cereals, all grains products are good. They are better for health. You would have noticed in the post on the platforms that all grains are very healthy. If you have to choose between processed rice, that's the common rice that you eat, and the local rice that we call brown rice or fada rice or Abakaliki rice in Nigeria. That rice, the local one, is healthier because it still contains the bran, it's not polished. And that bran gives you the opportunity of more fiber and some vitamins and minerals that are locked up in the bran. All grain products, choose all grain products like corn on the cob or old-fashioned oats. You can make very versatile. Old-fashioned oats, oats generally is very versatile. You can use it in preparing different kind of things. You can even you can grind oats and use it for baked foods instead of white flour. You can grind oats and use it for pancake. You can grind oats and use it for different things. And as long as the old-fashioned oats is healthy, so it's good to be aware of that. Choose all grains and organic vegetables. Sometimes you are faced with a situation to choose which vegetable would you choose? To choose vegetables, choose the organic one, locally grown in farms compared to the other ones that are inorganic. Olive oil, when you are choosing oil, please choose olive oil. And if you think olive oil is too expensive now because you are students, just use a little of palm oil or a little of any other natural oil. Bottled oils generally should be limited, so especially if it's vegetable oil that has been exposed to heat. Many times, the different kinds of vegetable oils that are available, that commonly available, have been exposed to heat before oil could be extracted from the source. Therefore, it might contain some amount of trans fat, which is not healthy, very dangerous to the body. So it's better to choose natural oil, but if it's palm oil or coconut oil, then choose a little. Use a little, don't take too much, because it contains a kind of fat that is very similar to saturated fat. Use minimum amount of egg. Don't just form the habit of having several eggs in a meal, because you shouldn't be taking more than 2 to 3 eggs in a week. So don't use too many eggs when preparing your food. Limit full cream milk, full cream dairy products. Even though milk is healthy, but if you are using the full cream milk, then it has to be in moderation. The same thing goes with meat. Limit the use of meat and their derivatives, especially if it's canned meat. Processed meat is not healthful. You need to limit the amount. The next thing we want to consider, when you brought your food to the kitchen, you bought whole grains, you bought organic vegetable, olive oil to prepare it, fish instead of meat. What kind of utensils do you want to use to prepare this food? The utensils are very important. Choose materials that interact less with the food. Many of the materials being used, like aluminum, copper, or iron, interact with the food and is not safe because they actually leak into the food. Some people have never wondered, if you use an aluminum pot, you see holes inside the pot. Don't you wonder why the hole? Okay, maybe you reason it out and you feel something has leached away from this flat surface for holes to form. Then that thing that leached away, don't you wonder where it is? It's in your body. It has leached into your body. The aluminum is in your body. And that's why you need to be careful. Okay, let's assume that you can't change your pot now, but you can change it when you graduate and you start any salary. Make sure you spend your money to buy good pots. And that cookware that is good is likely to be made of stainless steel, high quality stainless steel. So choose utensils that are made of high quality stainless steel. Avoid the ones made of aluminum, copper, and iron. The other one that is common is non-stick pan. Many people buy non-stick frying pan, non-stick pots. It looks fine, very easy to wash, but that material that is inside it that makes it non-stick is called Teflon. And that Teflon, if it gets scratched, can leak into the food and is very poisonous. It's one of the things that is causing cancer in our days. I know that we're discussing weight management, but it's an opportunity for you to also learn other things about your health, because anybody that is not healthy is not likely to be having good nutritional status. You will either be too slim for your height or too fat. So anything that can affect your health can also affect your weight. And that's why we're talking about health along the line, not just weight. The other thing that can affect non-stick pots is heat. If it's heated too high, beyond 300 degrees centigrade, that Teflon can also leach into the food. The summary concerning utensils is that you should use high quality stainless steel wares. Then we move on to hygiene, cooking oil, and dressing. The food is there, the pots are there. Make sure they're properly washed. Wash your hands very well before handling food. Cleanliness with utensils and surfaces are very important. Don't wash inside pots with iron sponge or scouring pad, because the same problem can occur. The iron sponge will scratch the pot inside and create opportunity for the material that is used to make that pot to leach into the food. Be careful how you handle meat. Don't mix raw food with cooked food. Don't keep raw meat or raw fish where you keep cooked food, because when you are warming cooked food, you are not going to leave it on fire for a long time. It will be a short time, and that short time might not be long enough to deal with the contamination that would have occurred from the raw food. That's why you should not keep them together. We talked about oil. Use olive oil or a little palm oil. Reduce the amount of salt. If you like using salt, just use a little salt for your food. Let's talk about preparation now. Chopping and slicing. The more food is chopped, the wider the surface area and the more opportunity for it to interact with the atmosphere. So if you want to use carrots in 2 hours from now, then it will not make sense to start chopping it and chop it in a way that is very, very small and just leave it for it to be reacting with the atmosphere. There will be oxidation and many of the minerals in the process will be destroyed. Many things will go wrong. So it's better the enzymes are also released from the tearing of the plant cells, and some of these enzymes are very useful in digestion. So they are destroyed. Germs found in the environment can also react with the surface of the food that you are chopping or slicing. So it's very important that you understand the effect of slicing or chopping. So by chopping the food and exposing it to the atmosphere, it can react with the oxygen and cause oxidation. There can be loss of nutrients, loss of enzymes, and there can be contamination by microbes. This solution is to chop or slice your foods close to the time of use. When you are ready to prepare the food, that's the time to chop. Don't chop and keep for hours. Then you'll be able to avoid the loss of nutrients and contamination. Make sure you always strike a balance between raw and cooked foods. Some raw foods are important and some foods must be cooked before you can consume them. Cook only foods that need cooking. Compensate for eating cooked foods by eating something raw every day. Try to eat something raw every day. Avoid reheating or keeping foods hot for a long time. Like I said, if you expose food to too much heat or prolonged heat, the heat would destroy the vitamins. And when the heat destroys the vitamins are not available for you, and it can disturb some processes in your body because you need the micronutrients. Vitamins and minerals are called micronutrients. You need those micronutrients to complete the processes going on in your body. There are many processes that you can't even understand that need those micronutrients for them to work well. So if they are not available, the processes will be disturbed and your health can be affected. Advantages of cooking. Even though we've said you can't cook all the food, but some foods must just be cooked. So it's very important to know that there are advantages in cooking and there are disadvantages. The advantages: cooking food makes the food easier to digest. It destroys microorganisms. And then some foods have toxic substances like cassava or eggplant. If you cook the food, then you'll be able to deal with the toxic substance in the food. So please always cook your eggplant and cassava, potato, and other foods that are supposed to be cooked. Don't be too adventurous and say you want to eat potato raw, yam raw. Make sure you cook them. And then cooking food makes food more attractive and tastier. avoid exposing your food to it for too long. That's what you should note. And then it's also a good time to mention that you should not burn or brown your food. When food is burnt, it can produce cancer-causing substances. I haven't talked about the advantages. What are the disadvantages of cooking? I'm just reiterating what I've said earlier. When you expose food to heat, some vitamins can be destroyed, and prolonged heat can destroy several vitamins. When you're cooking and you boil the food in water, throw the water away, many minerals are lost with the water. That's why in some people's kitchen, their cooking water is richer than the real food they're eating. Can you imagine some people who boil yam inside a lot of water, throw the water away, and they are eating yam? What are you eating? you are eating incomplete yam because you've thrown the water away. So when next you are boiling yam, if you don't have a food basket, then just put a little water, let the water dry with the yam. You will notice there will be a lot of difference in the taste. But if you have a food basket, fantastic. Just place the yam on the basket and let water from the pot steam the yam, and it will cook well. That way, you'll be preserving some nutrients. Remember to cook your yam with the back. Wash the yam or potato thoroughly and cook with the back. That way, you will also be able to lock up some minerals, keep some nutrients instead of losing them. When you have peeled the back, it's very easy for it to leach inside the water. Disadvantages of cooking. Sometimes some proteins are denatured and you don't have access to them because the amino acids, which are the components, are already denatured. For example, so those of you that like toast bread, when you toast bread, there is an amino acid called lysine in that bread that gets destroyed. And that means you have reduced the quality of protein that is available. Carbohydrate can also be affected by excessive heat. And like I said earlier, when you apply excessive heat to fat, it can actually fat in plant oil, which we call polyunsaturated fatty acids. When you expose it to a lot of heat, it changes it. And the byproducts, one of the byproducts is trans fat. That trans fat is very harmful to the body. Loss of enzymes is another disadvantage of cooking. Loss of hardness of the food. So sometimes when you cook, instead of you to enjoy your carrot crunchy and hard, it becomes soft. So that's like a disadvantage. And then if you expose foods, especially foods of animal origin, if you expose it to very high heat, it can form cancer-causing substances. So for those of you that like suya, you need to minimize the amount if you cannot avoid it totally. Avoid exposing your food to very high heat. The summary concerning cooking is that you should cook only what needs to be cooked. Any food that can be eaten raw, just enjoy it raw. But anyone that must be cooked, that's the one you should cook. For example, legumes. Examples of legumes include beans, soya beans, white beans, green beans, and on and on. They must be cooked, especially when dry. You can't just eat them raw. Eggs must be cooked, because if they are not cooked, you might expose yourself to salmonella. Meats and fish should be cooked properly, but fruits should be eaten raw. Many vegetables should be eaten raw, and the ones that that you cannot eat raw, you just blanch or steam. There are different methods of cooking. I'll just remind you, I'm sure you know some of them already. Oven baking, roasting, some people also fry, grilling, barbecuing, air frying, blanching, boiling, steaming. Which one do you think is the best from what I've said? Anybody? You may please speak up or write in the chat room. Which of the methods of cooking do you think is the best? boiling, steaming, blanching, microwaving, simmering, sauteing, air frying, barbecuing, grilling, frying, roasting, oven baking. Which one do you think is the best? Or which ones? Maybe you are thinking 2 or 3 are the best. Anyone? Nobody wants to talk. Are you afraid? Okay, steaming, thank you. Steaming is good, blanching is good. You are very smart students. Yeah, blanching, that means you are listening. Blanching is good, steaming is good. And boiling with a little water is also okay, but frying is bad. It's not good. It's not good. Okay. If somebody feels that the best would depend on the food group. Okay, okay. So if it's a plant-based food, just steam, because you cannot use one method for some other food. For example, you cannot blanch beans. You have to cook beans for a long time. You cannot blanch, but you can use blanching for pap. So I like that answer. It depends on what you are cooking. But whatever you are cooking, don't go beyond boiling with a little water and let the water dry with it. Don't fry. Frying is not the best. It releases bad substances into the body. Grilling is also has to be reduced because it also involves high temperature. But grilling is better than barbecuing. Barbecuing, you are exposing the meat directly to the fire. The fire is heating the meat, and that's what happens with suya. But with grilling, a hot iron surface is what you are dealing with. The fire or the heat is not hitting the food directly. So there are different ways of cooking, and all those methods I've mentioned is good to know, like I've explained, the bad ones and the good ones. So please avoid barbecuing, avoid frying. If you must grill, maybe grill once in a while. Oven baking is fair because baking is fine. Boiling with water is fine. If you have the opportunity to steam, steaming is good. And then if it's the kind of food that you can blanch, blanching is good. And when you do all of this, the good ones, you can still preserve the flavor of the food. If it's possible for you to cook without liquid, like oven baking, that helps you to preserve the flavor of the food better, is enhanced. The only disadvantage of cooking without liquid is that the temperature is very high, and that destroys vitamins and active substances. So I don't expect you to use baking, grilling for vegetable, because the temperature will be very high and you're going to destroy a lot of vitamins and minerals. Barbecuing meat and fish, they're not good. I'm repeating it. Then cooking in liquid, that's blanching, boiling, simmering. What are the advantages? The food does not soak in oil, so you are reducing the amount of fat and oil going into your body. The fat content of the food does not decompose. Then the only disadvantage is that you are losing water-soluble vitamins and minerals into the water. And there's a solution. You can limit the amount of water used and let the water dry with the food. Or you save the cooking water and use it to prepare food again later. What about cooking with fat? All those methods that deal with oil, like sauteing, light frying, stir frying, air frying, deep frying, all those frying, avoid them. Avoid frying. But some people now use air fryer and use very little oil or don't even use oil at all. Please remember that even though air frying may be better than frying, because high temperature is involved, it still has its own disadvantages. Cooking in a high pressure cooker, there are other methods of cooking, like cooking in a double boiler. Maybe you put the food in a glass bottle and then you now put the glass bottle in a pot where there's water and cook. So the water is not touching the food directly. The heat is not touching it directly, and that's a safe method. Cooking in a high pressure cooker is also a good method. The time of exposure to heat is less and the food cooks faster with the pressure. Steaming is good. You can notice that we are mentioning steaming again. It's good. And then if you apply those good ones, I'm sure most of your foods, you'll be able to use the good methods to sort them out. Baking is also okay. How to make recipes healthier. I want to talk about making your recipes healthier. So there are different things you want to prepare and there are standard ways of preparing them. From what I've said today, some things will be going on in your mind. Oh, does it mean that I can never eat plantain again, fried plantain again? Okay, you can look for a way to prepare it. You can roast it, you can bake it, and you still preserve the flavor and it will be close to what you get from fried plantain. You can also, so that means you have avoided oil and you are still enjoying similar flavor. You can reduce fats, sugar, and salt content and still have your recipe. So maybe you are somebody who just likes pastry. You can use oats, just grind these oats and it looks like flour. You grind it into flour. Instead of using white flour, you can use old-fashioned oats. Then reduce the sugar content, reduce the salt content of your recipe, then you make it healthier. Another thing you can do to make your recipe healthier is to add fiber. So even if what you are using is not the acceptable food, maybe it's white flour, whatever it is, or you want to cook white rice and you can't get local rice, you can decide to add fiber to it and that will improve the quality of the food. You can also do ingredient substitution to facilitate recipe modification. So if the recipe, if white flour is part of it, oil is part of it, you can decide not to add oil and just bake. You can decide to replace the white flour with oats and different things like that. You can add more legumes to the recipe so that you are having more protein, less carbohydrates, more fiber, even from the legumes. So I want to talk about, before I stop now, I want to talk about methods of reducing fat in your recipe. What are the different methods of reducing fat? Measure oil in cooking with a teaspoon rather than pouring. Don't take a keg of oil and just pour in your soup. How do you know what you are adding? It's very important that you know what you're adding. So you use a spoon to add what you need to the food. So if I want to prepare a pot of soup, I just use the serving spoon and add 1 or 2 spoons of oil. That would be fine. But if I carry a jar and I'm pouring, I don't really know what I'm pouring. And in that process, I might be using too much oil. 1 teaspoon is enough for a serving of food. Avoid frying and repeating it. That's one way you can reduce fat. You can roast meat, chicken, fish, or vegetables in the oven instead of deep frying to preserve the flavor. I'm not encouraging you to roast vegetables, but it's possible if somebody likes frying. So that's a better alternative to reduce fat. Then for shallow frying, just use a small amount of oil to just spray it in the pan for shallow frying. Add a little water or stock when needed to keep the pan moist if needed. So if you think, oh, it's sticking, it's not moist, instead of adding more oil, just add water or stock. Another way to reduce fat from your recipe is to trim fat from meat. Remove the chicken, the skin of your chicken, any visible fat you see, trim it off before you even start cooking. And then if you are using milk for any reason, use the low-fat version of milk rather than the full cream. Please avoid margarine. Margarine is not healthy, especially the hard margarine. It causes, it has a lot of trans fat, and I've explained to you. Trans fat increases the amount of cholesterol in the body and causes other damages. You want to improve your recipe, you want to reduce fat, add lots of vegetables, add legumes to recipe. So anytime you are cooking rice, remember to add beans. Any beans at all. It can be white beans, red beans, pinto beans, soya beans. Add beans to the rice. You can also add peas to millet. Add peas. So anytime you are cooking cereal, it's a good idea to think of a legume that you can add to improve the quality of the food, to reduce fat and other things that you do, other nutrients that you don't want in high quality, in high quantity, and increase the fiber content. Another thing that is important is in your recipes to reduce sugar and salt. Avoid sugar if you need to lose weight. Even if you want to gain weight, the best way to gain weight is to eat real food, not sugar. Avoid pastries, eat whole foods, cut down the sugar and fat in recipe for pastries. Because pastries, that if you follow the normal recipes, the fat and sugar content will be too high. You can replace sugar with honey, but just a little. Because the energy value in honey is also high, very similar to that of sugar. So you cannot afford to take too much honey. Avoid processed foods generally. Processed foods generally are high in fat and sugar and salt. Use little salt to cook. Avoid adding salt on the table just by default. You've not tasted the food, you don't even know whether you need anything. But even if you think it's not sweet enough, it's better to just desist from that habit. Don't add salt to food on the table. Increase fiber content of food. You can prepare smoothies and just drink it as breakfast. You will improve the amount of fiber you are taking for that day. Can also add vegetables to dishes. For example, if you want to prepare yam porridge, it's a good practice to add vegetables to it. You can also grind some vegetables and mix with African mound food. You want to prepare gari as bolus food, just grind cabbage and mix it with it. And if you want to prepare pap, instead of sieving with cloth that you can sieve with large old sieve, then you'll be able to retain some of the fiber. And you can grind your beans with the skin before you make beans pudding, moi or akara. Just grind it with the skin. Initially, it might look funny, but after a while, you get used to it. Then anytime you are eating a mound food, bolus food, eat it with a lot of vegetables. So if you want to use legumes in different ways, it's a good idea to add them to cereals. You can cook rice and beans, make beans pudding without peeling the beans, and then cook beans. Another example is beans and corn. So I've come to the end of today's presentation. I want to ask if you have any questions. Any question? Do you have any question? After all I've said, you don't have any questions. Okay, so today I've told you that you should choose the right kind of food, especially foods of vegetable, plant origin. Plant-based foods are very important in your kitchen. Use safe cooking utensils. Use cookwares that are made of high quality stainless steel. Prepare your food in an hygienic environment. Use low heat to cook. Don't cook with high heat excessively. Don't reheat food. If you have warmed it once, don't warm it again. It's better to plan what you need and just prepare food, eat it, instead of reheating and reheating. Avoid cooking at high temperature. So if you've started, so all these methods of cooking that involve very high temperature, like grilling, barbecuing, should be avoided, especially barbecuing, because you are heating the food directly. Avoid throwing away cooking water. You can reuse in soups and sauces. And learn to add vegetables and legumes to your recipes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me for this webinar. Please pay visit the website, foluolatona.com. On the WhatsApp group, if you scroll up, you will see the website. They just click it. You'll be at you get to the website and you will see the past videos and summary of the past presentations. So if you just read through them, very easy to read. You read through them and you learn a lot of things.